Did you yank that?
Writing on the whiteboard and erasing, and writing on the whiteboard and erasing. So that's really how I learned, is just repetition and going out there, whether it was walkthroughs or even setting up trash cans with your guys, just learning a new offense. So once you get going and get a system that you stick to, it does get easy.
That kind of ability, like being able to kind of convey things visually, how do you think that'll help you maybe in the interview process when they put you up at the Vikings again?
I do think that's why I look forward to getting in front of these coaches and just talking ball with them, getting on the whiteboard. One, to show them how much I know, and two, to learn from them as well. You know, sometimes they'll draw up one of their plays and how they read things or how they identify defenses, and that's just the stuff I love. I love hearing and just talking about football and talking about protections and route concepts and checks and all that good stuff. It's just kind of what I think as a quarterback you have to love that, or you won't have success. You'll get kind of bogged down and overwhelmed, and the game might kind of push you to the side.
These teams will give obviously their thoughts on what it will take to get there. They tell like a Rudolph, you got to show us, because he's been in more of that spread off, and you got to show us the opposite of that. In your case, what are you being told though that you need to do or show over these coming weeks, months?
Right, just be myself and compete. You know, I'm here for a reason. We all are. Just I personally, one thing I want to work on is making sure that I articulate the plays well, loud, and projecting with my voice and the cadence and checks and alerts and all that good stuff. And just kind of working with the offense. But this is a new offense for everybody on the field, not only quarterbacks, but the linemen, running backs, receivers. So by no means is the first day going to be perfect. We're all throwing with different guys, receivers I've never thrown to, receivers haven't catched from me or any of the other quarterbacks on my team. So we're going to go through our growing pains. I think the biggest thing is just as a leader, which a quarterback needs to be, is just making sure your team progresses along through the week and you keep getting better and you don't make the same mistakes and you learn from it and you stick in your playbook. Because at the end of the day, we're here for football. We're here as a job interview, and what we want to do is play football for the rest of our lives.
What was your other takeaway from being with Hickey on Sunday? Like, what are some of the...
So it was pretty cool just because we share kind of the same roots. He's a Florida guy. He lived in Tampa for a while. My fiance lived in Tampa, so we talked about some common Tampa spots. And then his son goes to high school. His kids go to high school with one of my old high school football coaches. So we talked about that. Just kind of talking about that, because kind of a lot of this stuff can get overwhelming and kind of monotonous. So whenever you can break it up and talk about things like that, is always cool, and you get to know the person and not just the GM of the Buffalo Bills. You know Dennis Hickey, the person, which was pretty cool.
Mike, Kurt Benkert is another guy that had to transfer before really hit his stride. When you look back at USF, how much do you now look at things as something that just kind of went well for all parties involved?
Right, exactly, and that's kind of what I said. You know, at the time, it was the right decision for both of us, and if we had to do it all over again, I'd do the same thing. Just because at USF, I never got that true redshirt year. I never got that true time to sit behind a successful quarterback and learn from him. And when I got to USF, my first start was only my 14th ever football game, so I was still developing. So when I went to Western, I had 2 years under my belt, and I think that was the best thing that happened to me, was being thrown in the fire, making those mistakes as a freshman and sophomore, learning from them. And then when I went to Western, I got the chance to sit behind Brandon Doughty and kind of learn what it was like to be around a successful college quarterback. I mean, when you talk about stats and numbers-wise, he's one of the best college quarterbacks to ever do it. So I was thankful for my experience at USF, and it definitely molded me into the player I was today. And I might have got to my path a little differently than most, but I'm thankful for everything I went through.
Obviously, the Broncos are coaching the other team, but have you talked with any scouts?
Yes, I talked to Brian Stark, the director of college scouting, with them. We had a good conversation. We got to draw up a lot of ball plays, kind of like I hinted to earlier, which is kind of what I like to do, what I like doing. I'll answer all the other questions. I have no problem. I kind of like talking to people and talking about football. So I thought we connected really well and had a good interview.
So much of the quarterback position, timing with receivers, chemistry, being on the same page. So how tough is this really, knowing that you only got a few days down here to again, kind of get on the same page with all your teammates and receivers? Exactly.
So that's why, we only have an hour and a half on the field. That's why we got to really take advantage of every single rep we get, and we can't really stay on the field any longer like you normally would during a season, just because we have so many things that we're scheduled to do. So I think it's just big into just just learning and progressing and knowing when you get that one rep at that one route, that might be your only rep at that route today. So it's kind of similar to Indy. When you run a slant in Indy, you're running the slant one time. You got to complete it. You got to run the right route. If you don't, sorry, it's kind of the business we're in and what we signed up for. So I think we just need to make sure that we take advantage of every rep and just go out there at the end of the day. As long as we're all competing and busting our butts, then everything else will take care of the rest.
Just stemming out that, have you talked to coaches already, or do you have an idea of maybe how simplistic they're going to try to keep things for you guys here this week?
Right, so we've met with the Houston Texans 3 times now.